So we're super excited to come together on the topic of health and wellness, and super honored to have you guys not only just be here to share some tips and your background on health and wellness, but just collaborating on this upcoming retreat that we have in June in Portugal.
Yes, yes.
So we'd love to start here with Leslie Durso,
Yes.
California, a globally recognized vegan chef and healthy living educator. Leslie has the glowing and gorgeous face of the fresh plant-based movement, and we're super excited to have her here, and just want to hear from her and just in her terms of all the tips she has to offer. So
Yes.
thank you, Leslie.
Thank you for having me. I am beyond excited to be part of this group today and excited to be part of the group in Portugal. I literally cannot wait to get out there. And I'm really excited to bring the food element to this retreat. Food has such a huge impact on our lives every single day. Not only does it nourish us and give us the fuel we need for energy, but it can affect our mood so much. There's so many things you can do to make your life better through food. And so I'm just so thrilled to be that voice and to nourish and feed all of you when you come to the retreat. And provide that for you.
We're so glad to have you here, Leslie. We're so grateful to have you here today on the panel. And you mentioned that food could affect mood. Is that a myth or is that really true?
Well, I think it's true. I only played a scientist on TV, but I'm pretty sure it is true. There's a ton of research, including extensive research that was done at Harvard. And I trust them a lot more than I trust me in my script education. But yes, absolutely. Food affects your mood so much. They found in that same Harvard study that I just mentioned that the more processed food you eat, the more things with more chemical ingredients, with more factory created ingredients, the more depression can affect you. And so the way to keep your mood high, boosted, feeling good all the time is to eat a diet of whole, real foods that's low in sugar, low in processed sugars. Fruit is high in sugar and something that's amazing for you. So I always tell people, it's all connected. So the healthier that your gut is, which is what can be suppressed when you're eating a lot of processed foods and things that your body doesn't quite know how to process, or there's even processed foods that your body overly processes, where it gets so overly stimulated with the amount of sugars and salt and things that are in that food that your body just kind of goes into overdrive. So you want to keep a nice balanced diet of whole real food. I always say eat the rainbow. You should try and eat something from every color group of food out there every single day. And you'll be amazed at how much it can change the way you feel and the way that you think.
That's an amazing tip. I love that rainbow. I could just see it now. Pick different colors, the different foods. Sometimes we're just so busy with all of us in today's world. We're working from home, or some of us are going back to work and balancing childcare and working at home and all the different things coming at us. And we want to eat healthy, but what would you recommend for somebody who has just such a busy schedule? I know that rainbow thing is great. That is super duper helpful. I know that's going to help me.
Good.
Other recommendations?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I always get asked is I don't have time to eat healthy. I don't have time. And all I can say is that if you don't make time now, you're not going to have time later. You really want to take that time now. There are so many things that absolutely grab and go. Fruit is the perfect, it's nature's snack. It's already built in with little to-go containers. It is the easiest thing in the world to grab fresh fruit, fresh veggies. If you just cut them up and have them in a bag ready to go, you can make fun dips of peanut butter and hummus and things like that. But it sounds simple because it is simple and it is simple food, but really taking that time to fall in love with the food, carving out time in your day to fall in love with cooking yourself dinner. Fall in love with that process of preparing food that your body is going to love you for. I can't tell you how much of a difference it will make in your way of life and in your attitude towards food when you truly honor that process. And I know there's a lot of people out there, some people love cooking, some people don't love cooking as much. But if you can fall in love with making certain things, whether it's dinner, breakfast, whatever it is, you'll feel that much better when you're eating that food. I truly believe, maybe my Italian heritage, that food is a transfer of love energy. And you can feel it when the reason why you love a meal so much when you go to a certain restaurant is that chef and that chef teams have put in so much care and love into that meal. And on the flip side, I've been to restaurants where the food was technically perfect. It just feels like there was something missing. There was just like, you can't really put your finger on the experience. And it's because it was lacking in love. And so you can create that and provide that for yourself and give that to loved ones and your family and your friends. It's so beautiful. I don't think there's anything more beautiful in my mind.
Oh, that's a beautiful picture that you just painted for that. And I love that. It's almost like part of self-care too, to love yourself enough to put the time and effort into planning good meals for yourself to nourish yourself. You know, I think you said the fruit's easy to grab and easy on the way out, and you're right, but we need to have it in our house first, right? We actually have to buy it and have it available to our
right in your garden.
Yes, or you can garden. I have a hydroponic garden on my balcony because I don't have any. I'm on the third floor of the top floor of a building, so I can't put anything in the ground. So I've got a hydroponic garden. It's so fun to grow your own.
Love it.
I love it. And that takes it to the next step. So when you do the love and the care of growing that food and then cooking it and then eating it, like the satisfaction is like off the charts, amazing. Nothing feels better than that. So yeah, if you have the ability to grow something, do it. Even if it's just a little box of herbs in your windowsill, you'll just feel so much pride when you use those things.
That is great. That's a great tip and some great and I agree with you. There's no better ingredient than love, right? It's kind of like when your mom makes you that special dish, right? You can make it yourself, but it just doesn't taste the same.
Absolutely.
And then when mom makes it, it's just so nice.
I know. I really believe in making a ritual out of it. You know, light a candle or put on your favorite music, dance around the kitchen, make it an enjoyable process, not just something tedious that you need to get done.
Like water for chocolate.
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't it? Since I read that, I always think about the vibe that you put in the food. So totally important.
Exactly.
So great.
This thing,
So great.
Medicine, you need that time to actually find what you need. You need the time of the creation to find the things that your body needs at that moment, which you can't get if you put pizza in the oven or if you take fire to the freezer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Leslie, I'm so glad you're going to be at the retreat and be with us. And what will you be offering? What can we experience through you at the retreat?
I am so excited to be part of this retreat and just getting this group of people together. For me, you can expect whole, nutrients, balanced, delicious food that's going to make you fall in love with eating plants and the process of eating and enjoying and the community that we're going to build. I believe I'm going to do some classes if anybody wants to learn how to cook. And yeah, I think it's just going to be the most magical experience.
Oh, so excited. Can't wait. It's going to be just amazing. So looking forward to it.
Me too.
Leslie, I have one quick question to ask you before we wrap up on your end. So a lot of us have been working from home, right? And on the topic of wellness in the workplace, I think it's more or less of wellness at home as well. What are some of the challenges you've seen in the industry as you've talked to certain people on keeping a good regimen at home? You know, because sometimes we can sit and just work for hours on end and we snack or we're depressed or we're anxious. And so I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
elaborate a little bit on that.
Absolutely. And I personally am guilty of almost all of those things. It's been hard, especially in a world where, I work as a chef, and so much of my satisfaction comes from feeding people and interacting with people. And so taking that away was really, really challenging. But I really believe that you have to find joy in the little things. You have to, that makes, that smoothie that I make every morning, the joy that I find being able to grow my own produce and cultivate it has given me a lot of joy. So finding new small things to bring joy into your life every day is a good one. So getting outside and getting that vitamin D on your skin. I know our friends in the UK have a harder time getting that sunshine, but it really affects my mood so much when I'm able to get out there and have the sunlight on my face. I feel so much better.
Yeah. Are there certain times of the day that you find have helped you in terms of whether it's snacking or getting outside or taking breaks?
Yeah, so my personal belief when it comes to choosing a diet for yourself is that it is an extremely personal decision. I don't believe that there is an umbrella way of living that suits every single person's needs. Well, you have to make a decision on how you feel and how you morally want to live, and how it's again, just such a personal decision. Plus, all of our bodies are made up of completely different DNA. That's kind of the blessing of this entire world, that each of us is put together so differently. It's up to you, not your doctor, not the influencer telling you what to eat, to decide what works for your body. Now, your body is talking to you all the time, and it's up to you to listen to those signals and digest it. And so we can also talk about this a lot at the retreat on how to listen to those signals of your body, telling you what it needs, what it doesn't like, what it does like, and how to fulfill those things that it's asking for in a healthy way. And so when it comes to, how you should eat throughout the day, everyone is a little bit different. I love eating nothing but fruit until midday. I just have raw fruit, smoothies. I have dehydrated fruit, snacks. Fruit is my whole first half of my day. And then I switch over and I'll have some savory things. And I eat my big meal earlier in the day, usually around 3 or 4. And then I'll just have a smaller salad or snack in the evening time. So that's what works for me. Everyone has to find what works for them. And so I encourage you to just change it up, to try new things, to incorporate new things here or there, and just see how you feel, see how your energy levels are, see how you're tracking, see what your skin looks like, your hair looks like, your nails look like, all signals of how you're feeling. Your stomach, are you bloated? Are you cramping? Are you feeling? All of these things, we just need to teach ourselves how to listen to.
I love that.
So sorry, that was a long answer, not a real quick tip on a snack at home. But yes, absolutely too. Just having things on hand makes everything so much easier. So if you take, a couple hours on the weekend to make a snack that you can snack on throughout the week, or make a batch of dried beans or rice, and do some big batch cooking that you can turn into multiple different meals throughout the week, will speed up the process during the week, but also get you creative and get you thinking outside the box on how to use these ingredients.
That's an amazing tip. I love that. I'm gonna take that for myself. Thank you, Leslie.
Well, thank you again, Leslie, for being here on the panel. Now we're going to move over and talk to Tracy. Tracy, we're so grateful that you are here and you specialize in breath work. We wanted to talk to you a bit about that today. What would you say are the benefits of breath work? And can you say what kind of problems it addresses?
Yeah, well, the benefits are huge. There's physical benefits, there's emotional benefits, and then there's a whole list of conditions that it's widely used for. So some when you're talking about emotional benefits, which are huge, which really shouldn't be overlooked, it's feeling more connected to yourself, you know, feeling more yourself, which is actually really powerful. Having being able to relate to other people, the loved ones, your friends, your work colleagues. You know, when you're more centered and connected to yourself, you can connect with people in a better way. You know, it's great for focus, you know, so some of the corporates that I work for and the CEOs, and they want to get laser focused on stuff. It's brilliant to give you more energy. So to manage your energy, because, you know, you can manage you're basically managing your autonomic nervous system directly through your breath. So you have a huge chance. So breath is the only part of your autonomic nervous system that's both automatic and under your control. So there's an invitation there to take, you know, to take part in what happens in your body. And it's all connected, what happens in your mind and your body and your breath, you know, but because you can control your breath, you can get in there and, you know, change a lot of, you know, the way that you feel, not things that you suffer with. You know, it's widely used for type 1 diabetes, IBS as well.
Oh, wow.
Asthma is another one, and I've had a lot of success with clients with asthma.
Wow.
Sports activities, so people that want to, you know, athletes that want to go harder and faster without getting that fatigue. And there's a lot of athletes as well that suffer from exercise induced asthma. So, you know, the list is huge. You know, pain relief as well. And just for everything, I would say, you know, breathing and breath work, it's a whole 360 degrees. It's for everything in your life. You know, it's for sleep, for better sleep, you know, for better management of your emotions, for any kind of physical ailments that you've got, for your exercise, you know, even how you, before you eat, you know. And just as Leslie was saying, you know, I could really draw some parallels there between what Leslie was saying about putting the love in the food. Like, you could go to, like she's saying, go to a restaurant and get something that's technically really good, but it doesn't have the love in. And there's that old song, it ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And it ain't how you breathe, it's the way that you breathe it. So, you know, we're not machines. We're not all machines. You know, we've all got a belly button, but we're different, and we have different about with our emotions. Our emotions actually run the show, along with the food that you eat as well. Of course, you know, your emotions really affect your hormones, and you know, your emotions and breathing. You can change your breathing with your emotions. You know how people breathe when they're happy. And you know how people breathe if they're having a panic attack or they're sad or angry. It's very, very different. We can pick up on those cues. We instinctively know somebody's got a different type of breathing. So in that way, we can jump in and choose to change our breathing. Therefore, we can change our state. But the way that we do it, you know, like breathing, but introducing the concept of gratitude, for example, physiologically changes, like feeling gratitude physiologically changes how your heart works, which changes how your brain works as well. You know, this has been proven. And when all these sync up together, when your brain syncs up with your heart and your lungs, you have this whole coherent state. And you can feel that, you know, you can feel that with people in a room. When people have that coherent state, you know, you can feel that energy from people. So it's core well-being. You can influence so much through breath work. Sorry,
Wow,
a long answer there.
Amazing. Yeah, that is a big list of benefits. I was much longer than I thought, you know.
Yeah, and that wasn't even half of it. I was like, I've barely mentioned it. Yeah.
You know, breathing's one of the first things we do when we come into the world, right? We take
the last thing we do. And breath is our best friend. And this is what I really want to get people to know. You know, your breath loves you, right? It's with you 24/7, you know, 7 days a week. It's not going anywhere. It loves you. It keeps you alive, okay? And what you have to do is actually learn to get out of your own way and allow the breath to do what it does best. Because actually breathing is also a behavior. So our psychology, you know, unconsciously and sometimes consciously affects our breathing. So we have habits that can mess up what our breathing really wants to do. And it's a learned behavior. So it's about, you know, I often talk about it with food analogies as well. So I teach people kind of 3 things. I like to start with breath awareness. Okay, and that's the real juicy stuff. It might sound boring, but that's about forming a relationship with your breath, like I don't know, when I was younger and I used to drink wine, I drink really cheap wine. When I was 13, 14. No, I wouldn't know what a beautiful bottle of red tasted like. But, as you get older and you cultivate a relationship with something, with wine or food or coffee, your palate expands, and you can, the nuances and the way that you develop that, or it's a bit like an orchestra. A conductor can hear when that flute, out of 10 flutes, it's slightly out of tune, whereas the average person wouldn't. That's the kind of relationship I encourage people to have with their breath, to really get to know it, to enjoy it, to know all those little things and build a relationship. So there's a breath awareness. And then the next step, you can then bring in, breath tools and techniques. And that's like having a healthy snack in your bag. Okay, that's like having the fruit in your bag. Okay, and that's great. And you can pull it out when you've got low blood sugar. You can pull it out when you're feeling lacking of energy. You want to relax and all the rest of it. And they're really, really handy. But then you've got the long term, is a bit like choosing the right diet for you and getting rid of bad habits. And that's addressing functional breathing and getting rid of those habits and really learning to breathe in a way that benefits you the best. And of course, then there's the spiritual breathing as well, which is, really getting in contact with your spirit, using, visualization and, breathing in a way which can, really heal childhood traumas and all sorts of stuff. So there's all these different kind of cornerstones. So there's lots of different ways you can work with people. They can have just some people that, are working from home, working in a really fast-paced corporate environment. I love to give them those snacks to put that's their kind of breath lunchbox that they can put in their bag. And when they need to pull these out before a meeting, even just sitting for 30 seconds and being aware of your breath can be so powerful, can change a whole conversation, can change the way you relate to your team and how your team relate to you, even on Zoom.
That's amazing.
How you use your breath during a meeting, for example, can change the whole flow of that meeting. And I've worked with a lot with therapists as well, and they've said, since they've been a lot more aware of their breathing and using their breath in a way that benefits them, it really benefits the clients, because they can feel the energy changing in the room. They can feel that child or the person that's really not comfortable with having anxiety. As soon as they calm down, those people entrain to them and they become calm as well. So it's very simple, but very powerful. If it's good enough for the Navy SEALs and Russian Special Forces, and it's good enough. We're all on a battlefield, aren't we? In life.
Yes.
So it's simple and easy to do.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I am so looking forward to you being at the retreat, because I think most of the time, I don't know, I'm guilty of being on autopilot, right? We're on autopilot. We don't think about our breath. We don't become aware of our breath. So to really get in tune with that's beautiful. And I love how you just said there, you can have little snacks throughout the day with even your breath, and it could change the whole environment. That's amazing, Tracy.
Absolutely. I know, I'm really excited to be there. I love to see the change in people, just learning one very simple thing can huge impact. It's used, they use very simple breathing techniques, just like coherent breathing, which is 5 or 6 seconds in, 5 or 6 seconds out for say 5-10 minutes a day. It is huge effects, beneficial effects for people with PTSD, for example. There's lots of projects going around in the world, that where people are using this to really help people get back into that safe zone. It directly affects how your brain works. Your brain listens to your lungs. Okay. Because if something's up with your breath, the brain's got to sort that out quick. So the brain is like, lungs, you're talking, I'm listening. So so when the brain hears that the lungs are fine, everything's good.
That's great. That is so great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, I know on the retreat you'll be doing some classes, but is there any other special offerings you'll be bringing or that we'll be able to experience at the retreat?
Well, I'm sure that, yeah, as time goes on, a bit like Leslie with her food, you know, she's always experimenting and learning new things and presenting new things, and that's really how I am with breath work. You know, there's something new to explore and new techniques and things to learn. So whatever I've got planned right now for the retreat may well change, but whatever it is, you know, that it's going to be creative. You know, there's going to be tips and tricks. There's going to be things for, you know, longer term work on things. There's going to be using sound. Hopefully do something with Paul as well, team up and do something with Paul. And I'll be using the harp as well, because obviously bringing the music element into it and using live harp to lead some of the breath work and some of the meditations, and help, you know, using sound to help people, you know, get deeper into themselves and really tune in with that breath, really. So we'll see. That it'll be a bit of a surprise, but definitely it will be, you know, about empowering people to make their own breath plan, giving them the tips and tricks, lots of different tools, and going, you know, how can you make this work? Where can you do this? Where can you fit this into your schedule? It's about empowering people to use it creatively, you know, and we'll be talking about different ways how we can fit it into our lifestyle. So yeah, it'll be exciting. Can't wait.
I love that. I can't wait. It's going to be so good to learn all these techniques. I'm so excited for what you're bringing to the retreat. And I love that you'll be playing the harp. It's so beautiful. I've taken one of your classes. It's just beautiful. Absolutely love it. And speaking of healing sounds, Paul will be joining us at the retreat as well. And he will be focusing on healing sounds. Paul, what are the benefits, talking about what Tracy was talking, what are some of the benefits of healing sounds, and what problems does it address?
Well, lots. So for me, the interesting thing is can you hear me?
I'm having a little trouble with your volume.
Can you hear me? It's interesting. We're talking about sound, and now you can't hear me.
I can hear you now. You're good.
So for me, the interesting thing is actually about listening, and listening is a sense that has, like the breath work, listening is the sense that has huge emotional impact very quickly. So we use a comparison. So we say that the eyes you close. If you don't want to see something, you can look away. You can close your eyes. And in physics, the eyes have from the spectrum of color that you can see is roughly an octave. So you can see the smallest wavelength of light, the largest is about half an octave. Whereas the ears are open 24 hours a day. In your dreams, anything that you hear comes in. You have 360 and very located as well. So you can hear if things are distant, you can hear if they're close. And this huge range of 8, 9 octaves of sound. So it's a large spectrum. And it's in a way one of the primal sort of security sensors. So a lot of our time as an organism in the open, almost all the time, potentially dangerous influences around. So we had to have something that was checking in all the time, even when we're asleep or when we're occupied in tasks, when we're doing different things. There's this kind of field around us that's constantly checking in. And it's checking into our subconscious, and it's checking into our kind of biorhythms, and it's still there. And we've moved. The world that we live in has changed very dramatically, very quickly, but the sort of autonomic sensors have changed very slowly and often not as much. So we apply these very immediate responses to things that are not so immediate, particularly for people that live in the city and in urban environments and in work environments. There's often a lot of noise all the time, all day, every day, and it's going straight in and it's affecting your physiology, and mostly you're not aware of it. And one way to begin to deal with that is to put people in an environment where they're becoming aware of the sounds that are happening, and on the whole, the sounds are relatively pleasant. So the ears kind of, instead of doing this, they start to go, oh, it's okay. We can listen. We can wake up. And once you're in that environment, you can learn to be more aware of the sounds around you and to develop this kind of sense of equanimity this learning to respond differently, so that you can hear a loud noise when you're working, and instead of having this like automatic response, there's a bang, there's danger, going, oh, but I'm in a safe environment. This is just probably someone's dropped some paper or something. You know, we live in a very different environment, and we haven't trained our body to respond to it differently. So and then this notion of listening is then something that carries much further afield. So for me, the meditation practice is about listening. For me, eating is very much about listening. It's about listening to what the body is asking for, listening to all those different voices as well. The mouth is saying, oh, sweet thing, chocolate. And the stomach is going like, I need something now. But the gut might be saying, actually, I want a bowl of barley, because that's going to make me feel good in 4 hours time. And so it's the skill of listening is something that kind of transcends many fields. And sound is for me is the most immediate way into that. It's also where a lot of my skills lie. So that's a nice avenue in. But also thinking about this retreat and thinking about, you know, the people that are involved, and also Ali, who's unfortunately not able to be here at the moment because we've just had a flight cancelled, so she's desperately trying to sort that out. So Ali is a chef and a food educator and a baker, and has huge experience in many areas of food, and a grower. Is an interesting bridge. And then Ali, this meditation and the spiritual path and food. And we both have very different spiritual paths as well, and approaches to that. So there was just this idea of the sound for me, or the food valley, is kind of the way in, but actually what you're offering is yourself and your space, and you're offering this bag of tools that you have, whatever's required by that person at the time. So this idea of not going in with an agenda, and trying not too much to think ahead what I'm going to do, but what I'm going to hopefully do is be there and be present and be full, and listen and see what's needed. And I had this morning this idea of this image of an ant colony. And if you look at ants, you have they're actually physiologically different according to their roles. You have the queen that's so big she can't leave the nesting chamber, just producing eggs. And then you have the workers that are busying around, and the people maintaining the middens and the babies, and then these huge soldier ants. And human beings are essentially a tribal organism, and we have physiologically different needs, very much so. And it's very important that some of us are early birds and some of us are late birds. Christina and I attended this wonderful talk the other day on when different people are awake. I've always been a late bird, so I'm very happy to watch the fire through the night and make sure everyone's safe. But don't ask me to do things at 8 o'clock in the morning. And it's also like there's these different mindscapes. So I find it very easy to be very numinous and very inventive and very creative, and to sit for hours thinking about the different possibilities of things. But I find it very difficult to do kind of linear, structured, follow things through to the end. And the people that hopefully will be welcoming at the retreat, a lot of people in business, CEOs, entrepreneurs, they have this skill of this kind of one focus and this linear focus. Christina has this quite a lot. And it can be very difficult for them to just go, oof, just here, just now, just being, not doing. So it's for me, the purpose of a retreat is that we give to each other, that we hold a space of luminousness and a space of potential and possibility that they can step into, and that we can play with them and guide them. And for them, that can be a breath in, that they can take from their normal world, from their normal schedules, and then they go back to the world with, like Tracy says, maybe some different tools, maybe an image of a different way of being. Yeah, and this idea of a retreat as being a place where you practice being, where you practice getting up. You know, I'm not getting up because I'm an alarm clock and I've got to be in a meeting in 5 minutes. I'm getting up because this is the beginning of my day. Do I have 5 minutes to sit on the bed and think about what I'm going to do for the day and how I'm going to do it? You know, there's a space around your schedule to practice being in a different way and seeing how that feels. And that's again something you can take back to the world. Like Tracy says, 5 minutes before a meeting, or having an apple in your bag rather than going for a cigarette. Those kinds of, just having these little things that can really lubricate the body and the mind in a busy life. Sorry, that was an even longer answer.
That's okay. That was so incredibly helpful, because I know when it comes to sound healing, I didn't realize the range was so big as well. Like, I don't think of like the things I hear right now compared to something, you know, as mom, we have mom ear, right? We're always tuned in into the what's
Exactly.
doing in the next room, even though we're here. So just that huge range that you brought up, I don't, again, I think it's something that I know I'm guilty of being on autopilot for all of that, and just functioning. So it's very exciting that we're going to have to learn these techniques and tools through you and how sound healing. I do have a question though, with people like you talked about it, entrepreneurs, business people, they get so busy. Is it possible to have those few moments of just sound healing? Will it make a difference in my day to take those 5 minutes?
So one answer to that is the mic back on? Can you hear me?
Again.
Hello. Okay. So one answer to that is how big is the music industry? You know, go and look at sales of records. This is how important sound is to us. And it's slightly unfortunate in our modern culture that music has become something that's been slightly co-opted and slightly industrialized. So people only access that space through a very stylized medium. So they go and they buy an album and they'll listen to the album when they're walking or running, or when they're in the evening. When I like to listen to music when I'm cleaning the kitchen or cooking, that kind of thing. But the size of that industry and the importance of that industry to people shows how big the effect of sound is on us still. And this is the idea that these things go in very deeply and very quickly, much more so than we tend to be consciously aware of. So the space for kind of sound healing or these sound journeys is to break that barrier a little bit, to make us more aware of the effects that these sounds are having on us, to kind of allow the effect and to watch the effect and to feel it, so that you can then take that back into the world and be more open to these effects that are going on all the time. I mean, your example is perfect. Mum ear. It's like, it's when you hear that baby cry or that child scream, you don't go, oh, there's a baby crying or a child screaming, I should go and deal with that. You go, huge surge of adrenaline. Like your whole body responds way before your brain. And that's going on all the time in all of us. You know, every bang, every loud noise. You're sitting in an office working and you hear every car passing on the road outside and every horn that someone's honking. This is all information that doesn't concern your life and that there is nothing you can do about it, but it's still bombarding you. And it's hugely stressful to sort of take in all this stuff that you can't affect in any way. And so the idea of kind of calming sounds and peaceful sounds is just, what you can affect is you can change your response to these things. That you can, there's a lovely thing. I had this amazing experience sitting on a train once, coming back from a show in London, and there's a certain tube line that goes round a longer way round into I think it was into Victoria, and it's a really old stretch of tube, and it's unbelievably noisy. This, like, because you're in this echo chamber, in an echo chamber, with metal scratching on metal. It's this incredibly noisy sound, and I've always hated it, and I've always found it really just quite overpowering. And then one day I was coming home from work late and I was really tired, and I just kind of thought, oh, if I was in the studio making this as a piece of music, as a soundscape, how would I do it? And then I kind of went, oh my God, it's incredible. It's like phenomenal, these sounds and these harmonics and the way it's shifting and changing. It was absolutely incredible. And it's like, and then I went, oh wow, there's this amazing piece of music happening around me that I can really enjoy. And it's like so much energy in there. And we can do that all the time. We can just flip our perspective of things and our physiological response.
That's good to know that we can just flip it anytime. That's really, really good to know. And I'm so looking forward for you coming to the retreat and what we're going to experience with you there. And you and Allie, you are such a great team. I'm so I'm sorry she couldn't be here today, but you guys are such a great team. You do the sound healing. She does healing foods. It's just such a perfect package, the two of you guys together, and what we're going to learn from both of you. I'm so excited. Is there anything else you want to share? Will you guys be doing any other offerings that people could add on while they're there?
Yes, there is actually. So apart from, so that we have several ideas around the possibility of one-to-ones with sound and with food and various things. But the other thing that's come up in conversation with Christine is this idea of hosting discussions. So we maybe find a place under the olive tree of an evening, or, you know, in the stairwell, kind of find these nice little spots. And for me, this is back to the listening. So one of the skills that's I think lacking a lot is kind of active listening while participating. So you can do this, I'm not listening, and you can do this very expansive, I'm listening. But in a discussion, you have to switch back and forth. And there's a real skill to having a conversation about something, about not just hearing people's words and kind of biting back with your opinion, but actually hearing what someone's saying and why they're saying it and what it means to them and where they're coming from. And I think within the context of a retreat, it's a really nice that kind of invitation to step backwards slightly and just listen to someone that you may disagree with, or that may be doing something that doesn't suit you or isn't comfortable for you, but to acknowledge that it might be comfortable for them, it might be really useful for them. You know, we all make decisions, and we're mostly quite intelligent and quite well informed. So on the whole, if someone's doing something, it's serving some kind of a function for them. And it might be that we have suggestions or offerings that we could share with them, but it might be that the thing that they're doing is actually really serving a very important function for them that we don't understand. So we had this idea of hosting these discussion groups, and picking maybe themes around death, around health, around well-being, around mental health, around nutrition, around breathing, and just fostering this environment of a broader sense of really listening to each other. And like this kind of a conversation, actually taking time to let somebody speak until they get to the end of their thought. And then you have a breath and there's a silence, and then you respond, instead of this kind of sort of nipping in at each other and agreeing. There's a thing in America they call debating. It's not really a thing in England, but you know, the debating society. And I always found it really strange, because it's as if the objective of debating is to win the debate. And I always kind of went, surely the objective of debate is to learn the correct answer, or to learn the most useful answer, or to learn the most you can, or to open up the field, or to share information, to share ideas. And it's like the idea that you could win a debate on something that you actually disagree with, to me just is like, it's the lowest possible form of communication. It's like you want a debate to be something that enriches you and gives you another view, or a wider perspective of your own view. So yeah, so Ali and I are both polymaths, so there'll be lots of crossing over of fields. But this is one thing that kind of came as a nice little gift, that particularly Ali, because she's got this phenomenal wealth of experience in so many fields, that she's very good at listening, to just kind of hold the space of listening and let's have conversations about important issues.
Well, I'm just so looking forward to it. This is just sounds so amazing that we're going to be able to have you and Allie there at the retreat and be able to experience this. Those groups sound amazing.
And you and Christina.
We will be there for sure. All right.
Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate it. I from my personal experience with you and Ali from our retreat in the UK, it's what you offer, and your background and your expertise is one I encourage everybody to have. It was life-changing for me. Just spending that week together with you and Ali, you know, in Cornwall, for Tracy's harp yoga retreat. I mean, it was incredibly life-changing. And so I know that what we're going to be doing together at the Renewal is going to be even better, because all of us coming out of such a stressful year, I think It's so necessary. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Yeah, and thank you. We're grateful that the panel was here for us today for World Health Day. And we thank you everybody for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed this panel. If you want more information, please head over to our website at www.corcyoga.com. You can find all the information about our teachers that are going there. You can get in touch with our teachers and see what we're all about.